Hello again and welcome back to my shop. You've probably noticed there's a lot of videos going around titled Scrap Bin Challenge. Steve Carmichael, April Wilkerson, and Peter Brown put this challenge together and invited a bunch of community woodworkers to join in. I had every intention of joining the challenge, and the video you're about to watch is the video that I began putting together to be a part of the challenge. Toward the end of the video, I had a little mishap. I actually burned my lathe up. The motor in my lathe actually threw sparks out of the housing, smoked, fizzled, and basically I've lost my large lathe. Because of that, I was unable to complete the project. I'm going to go ahead and show you the video because in theory, I think this should work. And I think there are some of you out there that might be able to replicate this with far better results than I had. Even though I'm not in the challenge, I do want to promote the challenge. So if you're seeing my video and you haven't seen any of the Scrap Bin Challenge videos, down in the comments, I'm going to put the links to all of the other woodworkers who actually joined in the challenge. So without any further ado, let me get on with the project and show you what happened. What would Peter Brown do? Light bulb. Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but my lathe literally just burned up. The motor basically overheated and actually had sparks and smoke coming out of the housing. Had to shut it down, and now it will not start up. I pulled the can off. It had run for just about 55 minutes. And what I'd like to do real quick is take a peek inside the can and just see what the wood pieces look like. Dump them out on the table here, and then I'll adjust the can up. Whoops. All right, well, get a couple of these up here. You can see that the edges of the wood had started to round off a little bit. I think that this probably would have worked had I let it run a little longer, or been able to let it run a little longer. Probably needed to speed the lathe up a tiny bit to let these really bang into the sides of the can some more. But I think had I done that and been able to run through the grits, I think I would have been able to round these off. It looks like they've all started to take a little bit of the corners off. There's no sharp corners. They're all sort of rounded over. So in theory, I think this should work. In practice, don't know that I would try this unless you truly have a variable speed lathe to try it on. I just realized that through all of this, I never actually said what I was attempting to do. Now, most of you probably figured it out. You know, it's nothing major. You've all seen rock tumblers. A lot of you probably had them as a kid. Let you tumble and polish rocks. That was the whole idea behind this project. I thought by drilling a hole through the block and tumbling it in here until it got round, then maybe dumping a little, I don't know, Danish oil or something in here to get a little finish on them, that I could turn some beautiful beads and possibly give them to my daughter. She likes to make jewelry and crafty items. I thought it might be something I could do with my exotic woods. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. Give you guys a little bit of background. The lathe that I have is an old Harbor Freight lathe. It's not a really expensive lathe, but it did the job. And the problem I had with it was I needed to spin slow enough for the blocks of wood to tumble inside of the can. The lathe, the slowest speed on that lathe is 600 RPMs. So basically what happened is the centrifugal force just pressed all of the blocks against one side of the can, and it just sort of spun like an off-balance piece of wood. The way I attempted to correct that issue and the downfall to the project and me burning my lathe up was I tried to use a router speed control switch. Now the way these work, they're generally for routers. You plug this into the wall, plug your router into it, and it's just a potentiometer. It lets you slow your router down or drop the juice to your router and have it spin slower. I thought, well, if I put this on my lathe and dial it down, I can get it spinning maybe 150, 200 RPMs, and I'll get the desired results. What actually happened in my case was the motor built up a ton of heat, and because the motor was spinning so slowly, the impeller at the end of the motor that pulls air through the housing was not pulling enough air through the housing. The motor got red hot and literally just burned itself up. So, lesson learned the hard way. Do not put one of these on your lathe and attempt to slow it down. But if you have a lathe that is a variable speed lathe, there's no reason why you can't drop the speed low enough to keep the blocks of wood tumbling in the can and let the sanding action take effect. One last note, even though I'm not in the challenge, I would like to toss out a challenge to anyone watching this video. Why don't you guys take a few minutes, dig through your scrap bin, put together a project, and post a video out to YouTube. If not, a lot of the guys have websites and they love to have you post photos. Post some photos and a brief description of what you've done. We'd all love to see it. That's going to make this challenge even better. If you like what you've seen today, even though it didn't go off quite the way I planned, please consider liking the video. I'd love to hear your comments. I'll answer all questions. If you're not a subscriber, there's a subscribe button down there. Click on that button and all of my future videos will be delivered directly to your stream. And I want you to know that you are always welcome in my shop. Thanks for joining me and have a wonderful evening.